Okay, so today we are going to learn how to calculate your cost matrix when two time series signals are given. Okay, that is X and Y using your DTW algorithm or DTW method. Okay, so how is your question going to be? You will have two time series signals, that is X and Y, and you are going to calculate, okay, these, you're going to find all these values. You are only going to have a simple empty matrix. You are going to find the values now using this formula here. Okay, so how are we going to do it? It's really very simple. Okay, it's a simple calculation, but then you'll have to do the same to find the values for each of the. Okay, so how are we going to calculate the values here? As in, just like given in the formula, we are going to calculate the values using x minus y plus the minimum value. So what is this x minus y? So how did I write these values here? My x and y values in the form of x-axis, y-axis. Okay, so since this is your x-axis, I've written those values. For y-axis, I've written those values too. Okay, and now we start filling all the columns. Okay, so, and columns and rows, trying to find the cost matrix. So how does it happen? So when I tell I'm going to calculate, let me give you an basic example. Okay, so if I have to calculate the value for this, okay, for this, okay, so I will take up, I have 1 and 1 here, right? So what is my x and y here? This is my x, right? This is my y. So 1 minus 1 plus the minimum value. How do you take up the minimum value? There are three others values which are given here. We are going to sort out the minimum value out of these three. So what are these three values? So this is the value which I'm trying to find. Okay, and these three are those values which are mentioned here, right? Okay, that is your I minus 1, I and I minus 1 again. Okay, your j minus 1. So these are your different values. So I will write the minimum, the value which is minimum from out of these three columns. Okay, or your row. Okay, so when I'm calculating here, there are no values right now, right? Except your x and y. So I take up 1 minus 1 plus it goes 0. Okay. So take, this is how we calculate the values. Okay. So the value here is 0. So I'm going to calculate for the next one. So this is my required value and this is my x, right? 2 and this is my y, 1. So 2 minus 1 plus the minimum value of, so I take a, this is my box here. Okay. I was drawing a box here, right? So this is my box here and there are no other values filled. The only value here is 0. Okay, so I take up 0. So here 2 minus 1, 1. You have to give here 1. And let me do the same for this value too. So here it is 3 minus 1. Okay, 3 minus 1 plus now I have this box here. I have a box here, right? I have a box here where this value is the only value right now. So 1 plus 1. So here it is 3 minus 1, 2 plus 1. Again 3. Okay, so you have your 3 here. And coming to the next required value, your x here is 4, your y is 1. 4 minus 1 plus, now this is my box here. Okay, so what is my minimum value? The only value here is 3. So 4 minus 1, 3 and 3, 6, you have 6 here. Okay. So let me just finish it up. Okay. So for your, I can probably do the same here. Okay. For your next one, if I'm going to try to find the value here, my x is 1, my y is 3, right? So 1 minus 3 plus the, what is my minimum value? I do not have any values here, right? Right, as in there are no values here. So I would take up 0. And then your 3 minus 1, 2. So you have 2 here. Okay. Or your existing one is also 0. And coming to the next one here. Okay. So here again it is 1 minus 1, right? 1 minus 1. And this is your this is your square box where you have only 2. Okay. So 0 plus 2, you have a 2 here. And then coming to here, your next required value, you have 1 minus 4, your 4 minus 1, 3, right? And then you take up the similar way, the value that you get is 2. So your 3 plus 2 becomes 5. Okay, so you keep repeating the same throughout the matrix, throughout your columns and rows, and your table will be filled this way. Okay, this is how your table will be filled. Okay, now after your table is filled, what are we going to do? We are supposed to find your wrapping. So how does that happen? We started with the first place, and now we are going to, when we are going to do the calculation, we are going to end up from the last one. Okay, so here your number is 7, right? So what do you do? So I say there is 7 here. Okay, I again take up the square thing. I try to find out which is the minimum value. Okay, so the minimum value right here in this place is 6, right? So my direction goes towards 6. Okay, and from 6, okay, I'm again having my square box and I try to find out the minimum value here. And then again I find 6. My direction goes towards 6. And from here, okay, my value comes to 5. Now moving towards 5, okay. And here, okay, if you take up this square box of space, you find 4, okay. This really does not have any, like, the direction should come following up here. No, we are trying to follow the minimal value and reach 0. Okay, your goal here is to reach 0 using the minimal values. That is how, okay, each of these, okay, when I compare this square box, these values, 3 is the minimum. So the direction is to 3. Again, turning it up towards 3. Okay, probably you can ask why not this 3. Okay, if again required, you can also, the direction could go to this 3. Okay, but still what would happen? You go for the square box, your smallest value is 2. You are again going to end up here, end up here, end up to 0. Okay, and so after finding these values using the directions, we are going to add them. Okay, you are simply going to add all these values. Okay, your 7 from 7 to 0. Okay, all your minimal values. Okay, 4. Okay, you are going to add your 0 here and dividing it by the sum of all the values. Okay, so it's 9 and then you get your answer. Okay, this is how you find your cost matrix and you're using your DTW algorithm.